My name is Eileen Simon.
And I'm Steve Simon, and this is my pal Steve the Surfer Dude.
For about 20 years, I've been giving teddy bears and other stuffed animals to friends, family, when they've had sickness. For example, I had a friend who had a stroke, and she was into cats. So I put the cat on her chest. It was all she could do, really, was to, that kind of thing. When there's a loss of a family member or whatever, celebrations, that kind of thing. And quite frankly, although we do give animals to kids, sometimes it's mostly adults, even up to CEOs and executive vice presidents of big companies. There's a tactile thing that happens. It's like having a dog or whatever. It's a touch thing that's it makes them smile and makes them feel better, and it's a stress reducer. I call it bear therapy. It works. I've seen it work, so it's...
Well, about 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and it was time for my wife to give me my teddy bear. And Steve has been here to support me through my radiation treatments. He travels with me now wherever I go. I probably take 15 odd round-trip air rides every year, and he's there with me. If we're on a car trip, he's sitting there in the car looking out the window with me. But he's my traveling buddy, and we make a lot of connections with people. A flight attendant who also happened to be named Steve on Southwest Airlines asked me why I carried the bear, and I told him, and we were celebrating my 5th birthday, and he said he was celebrating his 14th birthday. So we make connections with people that way, and it's really cool.
I've been sending bears through Mama Bear's Place for several years now. I found one of their little cards when I was at a local restaurant, and it's a really great way to get advertising out about it. But I love the fact that you can, because Steve and I, like to do charitable work, and I love the fact that you can send a bear to a friend or family member, and also send a bear to a child. This program that she put together is awesome, 2 for 1 basically, and they're very reasonably priced. So, it's a great way to send a bear rather than just go out and buy one, So that's what we've been doing for the last several years. So, well, Mama Bear's Place sends Gun bears, and I love Gun bears. I hadn't really bought them before I started dealing with her, but I love Gun bears because they are very huggable. My priority with a bear is softness, because it's the therapy piece, the hugging. The quality of the Gun bear is excellent. The best thing is to be there in person when you give an animal, and I try to do that. Actually, Steve and I try to do that as much as possible. The nice thing about Mama Bear's Place is that if you can't be there in person, often we're sending bears far away, she'll do the job for you, and that way you can still have the feeling, and feel like you've made a connection. Donna's website on Mama Bear's Place is really good in that it has the complete information for shipping, the persons who's sending, etc., and you're able to put a personal message very easily. Also, the shipping options are very flexible, and you can expedite shipping when you need to, when you need to get it there more quickly.
We met a young man on a flight. He saw
probably about 4 or 5.
I would say maybe 5 years old, and he walked down the aisle. Steve was sitting in my lap, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I said, "What's your bear's name?" And he said, "Bear." And he went on his way. When we got to our destination, Eileen was renting a car, and I was hanging out with the luggage, and this young man comes by again, and he looks at his mother, and he said, can I? And she said, "Sure, ask the man." And he looked at me and he said, "Can I say goodbye to your bear?" And I said, "Certainly." And he says, "Bye, bear." And I said, "No, what's your name?" And he said, "Silas." And I said, "Hi, Silas, I'm Steve, and you need to shake his paw. His name's Steve, the surfer dude." So he reached up and he shook Steve's paw, and then he said, "Goodbye, Steve." And then he looked at me and he said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Do you sleep with your teddy bear?" And I said, "Every night." And he looked up at his mother and said, "You see?"